welcome back to One-on-One with Mr. U. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. U. In studio with us, career strategist Julia Toothacre is in the house. Hey, Julia, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You excited? You happy to be here?
So happy to be here. Let's go.
I love it. Look, we had an interesting day. We talked about it offline, but we're here. We made it, and we're close to the end of it. More behind us than what's in front of us. So this is a good thing. But generally speaking, we have our guests come in and share about their upbringing and their childhood. We don't care if it's messy. Just go ahead and share. So tell us how you got from there to where you are right now, as brief as you want to or as long as you want to. Go for it.
All right. So I like to share that I honestly had, I think, kind of a boring childhood. I think a very average childhood. I know. Well, and then what's funny is now that I'm older and I reflect back, I'm like, oh, maybe there were some things in there we could have done a little different. So I'm an only child, and I think that really sets the stage for what childhood was like for me. A lot of people will hear that and say, oh, you were spoiled. I definitely was to an extent. But one of the things that I like to tell people is the age difference between myself and my parents. My parents were much older when they had me. They were like, I think 40, 41, 42 in that range.
Oh, wow.
And so we're talking, 2 generations older than me. And so I think that really influenced how I was raised and how I was brought up. So they're not boomers. They were kind of on the cusp of silent generation and boomers, but in the silent gen. And so that just made growing up a little bit different because they were older. I think my experience was different than my peers in terms of expectations. My parents were also teachers in the community. And so there was always this expectation of you need to be on and you need to look a certain way and you need to act a certain way, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I was always, helping out other teachers and doing things, and you would see parents and students and all that out in the community. And so my parents saw me as a reflection of them. And so from a young age, there was a high expectation to look a certain way, sound a certain way, essentially perform, on behalf of them. And I think in a positive way, that led me to a space where I was able to be very confident in myself and in a lot of ways. But I also became very self-conscious of things, right? And so I went through a period of time where I would not leave the house without makeup on, and I would have to be dressed a certain way and my hair would need to look a certain way. I don't have that now. Now I don't care. But, when I was younger, there was a lot of that going on. And I think that influenced just how I moved through the world and how I viewed myself. And I think it was very unhealthy, right? But I think I don't blame my parents for that. I think they knew who they were in the community and they wanted me to reflect that, and that was fine. Yeah. But I think I had a pretty, normal childhood. I think expectations were that you would try your hardest and do your best. Even with my parents being teachers, you can only do so much. But the expectation was to go to college. I didn't actually want to go to college initially. I wanted to go to community college and spend a little bit of time kind of figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. And they said, no, you're going to college. Yeah, they both had master's degrees. So I think that was some of what it was. What was like, you don't have to get a master's degree, but you need to have an education. So ended up going to college and all that, working. I did a couple of career switches that I think my parents didn't quite understand. And that was always a fun situation to be in because they were teachers. And so that was the profession that they held. And so I think they didn't understand, like, what do you mean you're going to switch? What do you mean you're going to do something different? And I'm like, you raised me to be independent. You raised me to be an independent thinker. You raised me to be creative. You raised me to, in a lot of ways, like, want to help other people. And so I ended up making the switch that kind of led to the career path that I'm on now. Okay. But I will say, to kind of add later in life, my parents passed away in 2016 and
Oh,
2018.
sorry to hear that.
And so, thank you. That is what led to me starting my business. And so, the way that I kind of look at my life is before they passed away and after they passed away. And
Gotcha,
before
gotcha.
they passed away,
AC and BC, I guess. I get you.
yeah, it's very much like that. And as an only child, I had really good relationships with my parents for the most part. And before they passed away, I felt like I was seeking their approval for a lot of the things that I did in my life and a lot of choices that I made. After they passed away, like obviously you go through a grieving process. You know, I still live that to this day because that doesn't ever go away. But I stopped living for them and I started living for myself. And that transformation has been probably one of the most impactful parts of my life that I never thought would happen. It's almost like you're living to please somebody else and meet their expectations. And it's almost like a fog or a film.
Yeah.
And then those people aren't there anymore. You don't really have to cater to them. And all of the sudden you see the world in a different way, not just because of the grief, but because now who are you in the world?
Right.
So
No,
anyway, that was a little all over the place, but
I'd imagine that they're really proud of you right now.
you know, I think so. And here's the irony. I feel like I'm probably the best version of myself since they've passed, because I feel like if I don't take the opportunities that I'm given, if I don't live my life to the fullest, then I am somehow letting them down or letting like me as their legacy, you know, down. And so I think that that has really pushed me into the choices I've made with my business and some of the opportunities that I've had that I never would have done previously.
No, I totally get that. Let's talk about the move that you made. I was so enthralled with the idea that you made the move that you made. I'll let you set it up, but you made
Okay.
a move from one area in the country to another. I'm fascinated by this. I might be a nerd. Well, I know I am. So, all my listeners and viewers, bear with me. This is going to make sense once you get to the end of this. But go ahead, share a bit of the move you made.
Okay, so for some context, I was born and raised in Southern California and lived there the majority of my life. After my parents passed away, my husband and I went through some visioning exercises and values exercises with a friend of mine to figure out what we wanted from life. And we knew that we wanted to move. We just wanted a different pace of life. We wanted something different. We had looked at a bunch of different states. We knew we did not want to go to the East Coast. We're not East Coast people. We're West Coast people. So we wanted to stay a little bit more on the West Coast. Nothing against East Coast people. It's just, we're just not familiar with it enough to make a move that big. So
Boy. We might have to come back to that, but go ahead. I'm like, wait a minute.
My husband's from San Diego, though. Okay, like I'm from the Inland Empire in Southern California. My husband's from San Diego, so we knew that we would just be more comfortable being like a closer plane ride to family and all of that. So that was one of the stipulations, was being within a couple hours plane ride of family and really close friends and all of that.
Nice save, Julia. Keep going. Go ahead.
So we had some friends that actually moved to Utah. Utah was not on our radar, even a little
anybody's radar.
And so our friends had moved here. So we had come to visit multiple times, and we just really liked the pace of life. It was just much slower. And then we were out, I think it was one New Year's, and we went to this community. It's a master plan community in Utah, and drove around, and we just fell in love with it. Wow. My husband ended up finding a house. This house checked all the boxes that we had visioned about. And so that was something that I knew we weren't going to find in California. We found it here, and we put in an offer. and the rest is history.
So help me out with a couple of things. One, what is a master plan community? And then secondly, I want you to talk about the diversity piece, because I thought that was super interesting. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a master planned community is essentially when a city has like a big area that they're trying to develop, and they have a vision for what that is going to be. So if you look up like top master planned communities within the US, you'll get a good idea of what they look like. So they're just highly planned, usually around families most of the time. So lots of parks, lots of events, just, parts of our community are walkable. And so it's a really nice place to live, honestly. One of the ways that I describe it that I think sometimes puts people off, but also helps them understand, is it feels a little bit like Stepford. Except the houses are more unique.
I'm cringing as well, trust me.
But one of the things that I like here, compared to other parts of Utah, is I feel like there is a little bit more diversity in the area that we chose, and that was intentional. Is it the most diverse area of Utah? No, it's not. But at the time when we moved, it had the right combination of the type of community that we were looking for, and it was within our price range and all of that. Diversity was definitely something that we had talked about, because we had just had a son about a year before this decision was made, year and a half or something like that. And I was really hesitant, because my husband and I both grew up in areas that were very diverse, and we have a very diverse friend group. And so I didn't want my son to grow up in a place where he only saw people that looked like him. And so that was something that we had considered. That was part of why we chose this particular community, because it has a lot of transplants from California, and then also just other parts of the US. And even the world, actually. We have a lot of Australians here, ironically. I don't know. It's very random, but
okay, it feels like it. Okay. Like,
so I know things you don't think about with Utah, but here we are.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So this was something that we did consider. And the reason that we ended up being okay with it is because we chose to homeschool. And so because of that, we knew that the diversity that our son would experience would fall to us to make sure that we were providing that in a way that we felt good about. And that's something that we've really tried to do. And we go back to California very frequently to see friends and family and work and all of that. So I think we've been able to create an environment where, he's not surrounded by a ton of people that look like him. There is also, I think, more diversity here than people think when they think about Utah.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely I'd love for you to bust some myths about Utah, because generally speaking, I know, and I'm probably guilty of it myself too. When I think about Utah, I think about specific things. And I'm like, help me, because you're there. You actually can see it. I'm not reading a magazine or watching a TV show. I'm actually talking to somebody who's actually there. Bust a myth or two about Utah for those that are watching and listening who may be thinking the same stuff I'm thinking right now.
I mean, what are you thinking? Because
I don't want to do that. I would rather you just kind of just share, whether it be career, politics, religion, diversity. You just tell me what.
Okay.
I'm sure you heard some of the same thing because you moved there.
Yeah.
And you did research first, so go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the church has a big influence. The Mormon church has a big influence here. I don't know that we realized how big of an influence it had on politics until we were here. And obviously there are some positives to that, but there's also some negatives to that. So we've had to kind of figure out where we lie within that. But we definitely see that influence at the city level and then the county and state levels. So I think that's something that is to be expected in a community like this.
what's going on with the other parts of the culture, like food and music? What do you see in there that you think might be interesting for those who are wondering what Utah is all about?
Yeah. So food has actually been very interesting here. And we didn't realize Utah, one of the things that Utah's really good at is small business and family owned
Yes. Okay.
business. So we actually do not have a lot of large restaurant chains here. We
Okay.
do have some, that does exist, but I would say the majority of our food here is locally owned and run. We have a lot of local chains that run throughout the state. This was something that was a little bit different that I wasn't expecting. And I think that's great because one, it supports business. We're supporting small businesses here, and it also brings a lot of diversity to the food. I actually think what Utah does really well is a lot of just different kind of fusion things with different types of food and all of that. I wasn't expecting that here, honestly. So that's been really fun to see.
Okay, all right. And musically, things are is it pretty diverse as well? Musically, I'm just I don't know
It
what
is,
I
yeah.
don't know what
So
Mormons dance to. I'm just kind of I don't want to prejudge here, but I don't know what Mormons dance to. I'm just kind of like trying to just figure out what's happening.
yeah.
Say that
No,
real quick.
it is very diverse here musically. I will say one of the things that we love, especially coming from the LA area, is we can
Mhm.
get tickets to see really big bands, first of all. So we can get tickets, and the tickets are not insanely priced like it
Well,
was
that's cool.
in LA. And so that's been a really fun thing for my husband and I because we love concerts. We're trying to get my son into it as well. And so we've
Okay.
been able to see a ton of bands that we, grew up listening to and love. And it's been way cheaper here than it would have been in
That's
California.
good.
So that's been a huge bonus. The downside to that, though, is because of our location and population and all of that, we're not going to see every big band, every big tour. I think we do get some good ones here,
Okay.
but there are times where we're going to get passed over. And that can be kind of frustrating sometimes. So,
Yeah, it's not a big city like LA is. That makes sense. I get it. I get it. I want to share, or I want to get you to share the last half of our episode on what you're doing career-wise and your podcast or work and stuff. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. You mentioned about how most professionals are told they kind of are told how to follow the rules and how to move up in today's workplace. When did you figure out that approach was just super flawed? When did that hit home for you?
oh, um, I think it was after my parents passed.
Okay.
I think if you've ever experienced an intense loss like that of somebody that's close to you, it really makes you rethink what you're doing, how you're doing that. My son was also born around the same time, so I also had
Oh,
that
wow.
piece of
Okay.
it that impacted my decisions. And I think what happened to me, I was dealing with a lot of politics in my position, and I loved my job. So if you all like stalk me on LinkedIn and you're like, this is the one she hated, I did not hate my job. I loved my job. I loved the work that I was doing there. There were some larger politics at play that I did not care for, that I couldn't influence. And I think after my parents passed, I just had this aha moment where I was like, why am I doing this? What does all this matter? And why am I fighting this fight that I'm not going to win, against the
Wow.
system of the place that I was at? And it just became exhausting to me at that point. And I actually didn't want to start a business. That was not my intention coming out of working full time. But I started getting calls from people who were like, hey, I need advice on this. What do you think about this? And that kind of catapulted me into, okay, maybe I will start this. And then it honestly was the best decision for me in that time to be able to control my time, control my work, really be able to dictate how little or how much I wanted to do in my business, that became really, really enticing to me. And so now when I look at full-time jobs, because sometimes people will send me stuff, I just cringe. I cringe at it,
Yeah, you do.
you know, and it's not that I wouldn't do it if I had to go back. I absolutely would, you know, if we were in a situation that warranted it. But just the idea, honestly, of working 40 to 50 hours a week and giving that much of myself to something that really doesn't deserve that much of me. I just have a hard time with that now. And
Yeah,
so
you ain't going back.
yeah, I'm not going back. I really don't want to.
Who you kidding?
So now that's changed how I coach too. And I think that's been, you know, I was a career coach before I made this transition within higher education. So I was doing all of that. But how I coach now and my focus changed because of what I went through personally. And so now my whole thing is I'm going to help you control your career. And so that's the name of my podcast. And my goal is to help people look at themselves and go, who am I? You know, who am I at my core? Who am I on this earth? And what do I want to do with that? And how am I going to live out this next season of my life confidently? And so I'm helping people control their career in that way, in whatever situation they're in.
I love that. So what's your primary responsibilities of a career strategist? What are you doing? For those that are watching that might need one, they might be in need of one. Yeah. How would you position it? What are you doing for people?
Yeah. So my sweet spot is really helping people who feel lost. So people who are trying to figure out, maybe I don't know who I am, or I thought I was this way, but something's not working. So they're questioning what's going on, whether that's a career thing, a life thing, a personality thing. They're in a state of, I just don't know what's happening right now. And they come to me and we help figure that out. And I help give them a plan of action to move forward in a way that honors them. So I think that's the main difference for me as a career coach. A lot of career coaches, they have a process that they follow, and I have a process, but my process really speaks to you as an individual. So I'm not just going to tell every client, this is the thing you need to do. This is the career process you have to go through. Nobody's getting anything cookie cutter from me. I'm looking at each of my clients as an individual, and I am tailoring my advice, my suggestions, their plans to them specifically.
I love this. So most people who are probably watching, listening to this show, they've probably been in this space that you and I have been in, where we've been having that stuck feeling. Mm-hmm. We're real good at our job. We know what we're doing. We're not lost here. We get it. And we excel in most places, but we still feel like we're stuck. Mm-hmm. Explain what you experienced regarding that and how you help people through it.
Yeah. So when you're in a state of being stuck, it can come from so many different places. And so in that case, that would be more like a career management conversation where we would still dig into who you are, but we'd also dig into what is happening in your career right now. What are the relationships that you have? But a lot of times too, my clients share what's happening outside of their career. Because a lot of times there's something happening personally or something that has happened personally that when they share that, we have a light bulb moment. And we go, okay, your career is going well. All this is going well. But, you know, maybe you're a caregiver for a parent. Well, yeah, that's going to impact what's going on day to day. You know, I was a caregiver for my mom before she passed. And that was stressful. And it took a lot of mental, emotional energy from me every single day that my job couldn't get, even though I was really good at my job. So there's a lot that can go into that. And I usually help people break it down and try to pinpoint what is going on.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in controlling the controllables. What happens when the manager or the director, or the person that's your immediate supervisor is hindering you from accomplishing the goals you may have for yourself, the trajectory that you're on? Is that a controllable, or is that something that is out of your control? How do you counsel that?
Yeah, so this is a it depends scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, so I usually will have my clients walk me through examples of conversations that they've had with a manager.
Okay.
I would say about half the time, sometimes more than that, my client is usually misinterpreting what the manager is saying. And
Mm.
so what I really try to help my clients do is understand what is realistically happening in the moment. And so, as
Wow.
people, we're bringing so many emotions with us and so many experiences that we've had in the past. So, if you're somebody that has had a poor management experience, or maybe a parent situation, guardian situation, a bad relationship, you have things that you bring with you into other relationships, right? So, you're reading things a certain way that maybe isn't exactly what is going on. So, I try to unpack that first. And a lot of times I'm trying to get them to reiterate the language that the manager is coming with and the context of the situation so that I can discern, is this them misinterpreting something, or is there something actually going on with the relationship with the manager, and how can we reconcile that? So that's where we start. And then where we end up depends on how that conversation goes. So either I'm helping them reframe their relationship with their manager, or I'm helping them prep a conversation to have with the manager so that they can hopefully get through some of the interpersonal things. But depending on what they share with me, if it's really bad, then we're having a different conversation around, does HR need to be involved? Have you documented? And maybe we need to start looking for another job. But that's a very extreme scenario. So, yeah.
That's pretty often you help folks out with that, because it's one thing to say, you know what, this is the wrong culture. And I kind of been there. Sometimes pushback from somebody in management, it could be you're in the wrong culture. You need to get out of there. Or it could mean that you got the wrong mindset about, the whole situation. You might be having a high expectation that you probably should have, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And you kind of look at everything that comes against you, that's pushback, as a rejection of some sort. So I love that you are dealing with that with your clients. I want to get a little bit more of these questions, and I got a few more for you, and they're really good. I can't let it go by. So I want to try to get this in. We had a fantastic conversation about coaches needing coaches, and you laughed at me. I thought you were laughing with me, but then I realized, in hindsight, you were probably laughing at me and not laughing with me, which really hurt me badly. But I had a conversation with my coach, and I realized just a few days ago that coaches actually need coaches.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I know as a coach that I need that. That's why I have one. But I didn't know that was a thing. But you know what? People might want me to help them. But they're already coaches. It never crossed my mind. And you just, I would say that you helped me, but it didn't feel like help in the moment. But
Sorry.
I still got PTSD from that. Still, I'm going through the flash. I'm like, wow, I still feel the pain from that. But so for you personally, as a coach, and you're helping so many folks effectively at that, what do you look for in a coach? What do you need from a coach yourself personally?
Yeah. So a lot of times, if I'm looking for a coach, it's something specific. And it's usually something that I don't feel knowledgeable in. I'm very much a DIYer. I DIY'd my entire business together, trained, but I like that. That works for me. I'm very much like, I want to learn all the things. I want to know all the ins and outs. So early on, it was very hard for me to invest in a coach because I knew that I just wanted to learn everything and try to figure it out on my own. Now that I'm deeper into my business, I'm like, nah, I need somebody else. Like, I need a sounding board. I need an expertise in this area or this area, but somebody who was ready to have the type of conversations that I wanted to have. And so when I'm looking for a coach, I want somebody that, one, is confident, that presents confidently, that speaks confidently, because you will lose me immediately if I don't believe that you are confident in yourself.
Julia, boy. Come on, man. You out here beating people up, man. I'm here to help and support you. Take it easy. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm also looking for somebody that's going to challenge me, because I'm very like I have a vision of what I want. I know why I want things done a certain way, and so I want somebody
Uh-huh.
that's not afraid to challenge me, but is also going to respect if I choose not to go the route that they're suggesting.
Yeah.
But I want to
That's fine.
have good conversation, and there's two coaches that I have right now, and both of them I knew in other settings first. So I had seen them
Yeah.
operate. I had been friends with them, all of that. So there was already an established connection there. And I think that was something that was really helpful for me, because when I needed the thing that I needed, they were the people that I knew I was going to go to, because I was going to get what I needed. So what doesn't work for me is somebody who just, cold emails me, cold messages me on LinkedIn, and really has no idea who I am, doesn't try to figure out who I am, and is trying to pitch me all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not it. I'm not your target here, And so I'm never going to answer one of those, messages, and it's never going to work out. Yeah.
I love this. Okay, just a few more questions. I'm gonna try to get it in. So here's my last, I guess, business related question. How do you encourage somebody in the role that you stand in as a career strategist? How do you encourage somebody who doesn't feel the entrepreneurship pull like you did, and they want to stay employed by other people? How do you help them? Because
Yeah.
you can answer the question. I don't want to
I will
add
answer.
Just go ahead.
So this was me, I mean, entrepreneurship, this was never a plan that I had. So I understand the people that want to stay in their full-time benefited positions. I absolutely get it. I understand the security, although that is not as much of a thing anymore in a lot of spaces. But
Sure.
I get why people want to do that. They want to go to work, do their thing, get paid, and come home. And I respect that. And so I would say actually now that's probably about 75% of my clients. They want to work full time. Yeah. They want to, be working for somebody else, at least at this point.
Okay. Yeah,
Some of them have aspirations, later, but they're really looking for right now. And so I honor that. I think that's the thing for me. I will honor what you are looking for, and we'll have conversations about that. Now, I have had clients who they want to be full-time, but the things that they are struggling with, I'm like, if you owned a business, you would not struggle with this thing anymore. And so it's not that I'm trying to push them into it, but I'm trying to get them to see other possibilities. And do they want that? And is that something that they have considered, And so I like to plant that seed for my clients where I really see that they could be successful owning a business. But a lot of times if they want that, they come to me and ask me about it, and we talk about the differences between the two.
Makes sense. 2020 scared that out of most Americans. we don't care about that kind of stuff anymore, but I totally respect that. All right, so let's keep moving. In a sentence, tell me what legacy means for you in a sentence. Not a paragraph, just a sentence.
Dang it. A sentence.
The clock gets ticking here. So just a sentence. I don't have any Jeopardy music, so you're on your own with that.
I know. Okay. Legacy means leaving this world better than when I came into it.
Okay. I started on a Hallmark card, I think. But...
Hey, you wouldn't let me do a paragraph. That's the best you're going to get.
Okay. No, that's good. It's a good thing. All right. This is my penultimate question. Then I ask you all CNB question and close the show out. So people are listening now. People are watching. People are going to watch the replay. Your friends and family are going to be looking to watch this, and they're going to be probably critiquing me more than critiquing you, but it is what it is. What would your family and clients and coworkers, what would they all say about Julia? And all of them be right about it. What would they say about you? not assumptions and conjecture. What would they all say? They will all 100% have a consensus. They would agree about you.
They would say they would say that I'm going to be straight with you 100% of the time.
Okay. That's everybody. Family, everybody says that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love straightforward. All right. Here's your CMV question. This is my straightforward. This with you now. Career, mission, and vocation. Temporarily, just for a moment in time, I'm going to sweep away everything you've ever done. Career-wise, mission-wise, even your hobbies. It's all gone. What is Julia doing most likely right now? What is she doing? I love your thoughtfulness. I love it.
You're sweeping it all away, so I can't pull from.
Yeah. You got to go into the dresser drawer and get this one out. It's been in there for decades, probably.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna sound so elder millennial of me, and it will. People will know. Honestly, I would probably be a dolphin trainer.
No.
Swear to God, that was like, my 10-year-old dream, and I never went anywhere close to that. And I feel like there's just something about that still intrigues me. And I think that's what I would do.
Is there any, I almost fear asking this question because we're supposed to close the show out, but this is be a rabbit hole and I could be the rabbit. But is there a possibility this thing actually happens in any way, shape, or form? Is this possible?
No, I don't have the same pull to it that I did when I was younger. I think it's one of those, like, it sounds good in theory, but like I throw up on boats. So in practicality, it's probably not a great idea for me.
Perhaps not. I love it. I love it. Cool. This is good. I love the creativity in this. All right. So to close our show out, Julia, let everybody know where they can find your work, where they can find you. We'll have the clips on social media and on a listening platform, but love for you to share where they can find you and where they can find your work and get the kind of help that you provide.
Yeah, you can head over to my website, ridethetidecollective.com, and you'll be able to find the podcast there, and all my different coaching options and freebies. And you can schedule a complimentary clarity call with me to see if I'm a good fit as a coach for you.
I love it. Thank you for your time. The laughs have been great for my day. So I so appreciate it. So appreciate you. I hope we stay in touch and hear more from you and what you're doing. Love to have you back on the show or just have time to talk through what you're doing and coach each other. Sounds awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, Julia. Thank you again for coming on. And Mr. You and Julia are out of here. Have a great day. Thanks again for watching and listening. You can find us on all listening platforms, our YouTube channel, and on all social media. Have a great day.